Alright, so today we're going to talk about solving quadratics by factoring. So make sure that you are familiar with all kinds of factoring, the GCF, difference of squares, when a is equal to 1, when a is not equal to 1, so the barrier box method. You need to be comfortable with all of those types of factoring in order to solve these. So here are your steps. You are going to move all terms to one side and set the equation to 0. Okay, that is your first thing. Then you will factor. Then you will set each factor equal to 0 and solve for each x value. You will write your solution as a solution set. That's with those squiggly brackets, and generally the numbers will go smallest to largest. So let's look at an example here. We have x squared plus 9x. So move all terms to one side and set the equation to 0. This equation is already equal to 0, so now we do step 2, which is factor. So we can factor out a greatest common factor of x, and we are left with x plus 9. Then you will set each factor to 0 and solve. So I'm going to set x equals 0 and x plus 9 equals 0. Then I will solve. Well, x already equals 0. X plus 9, if I subtract 9 from both sides, then I get x is equal to negative 9. Your solution then is x equals the set of negative 9 and 0. Let's look at this second example here. Again, your first step, you need to set the equation to 0. So all of this stuff on the right hand side here, I am going to move to the left. So I'm going to subtract 2 from 98 and add 3x to 41x. So I would get 4x squared plus 44x plus 96 is equal to 0. So then always look for a greatest common factor whenever you're factoring. My greatest common factor here is 4. So I would get x squared plus 11x plus 24 is equal to 0. Now I can factor this. So two numbers that will multiply to 24 but add to 11. And my magic numbers are 8 and 3. So I keep the 4 on the outside. My factored form is x plus 8 and x plus 3. Now I set each factor equal to 0. So 4 equals 0, x plus 8 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. Now, 4 does not equal 0. That does not make sense, okay? So whenever you have that constant on the outside, you kind of ignore it, okay? If we subtract 8 from both sides, then we will get x is equal to negative 8. Subtract 3, and we will get x is equal to negative 3. So our solution set is negative 8, negative 3. Alright, let's look at this last one. We have 4x squared minus 11x is equal to x minus 9. Again, we want to get this equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract x and add 9 to both sides. So I would get 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 is equal to 0. So then I need to factor this. I don't have a greatest common factor, so I need to use either the barrier box method. I will show you the berry. So I need to multiply my a times c. So 4 times 9 is 36. Now I need two numbers that will multiply to 36 but add to negative 12. And my numbers are negative 6 and negative 6. Whenever you do berry method, remember that you put your berry in front of both sets of parentheses. Then I can plug in my magic numbers, and now we have to factor out a berry. So I need to factor out of 4, but neither of these factors are multiples of 4. So if you look at the first factor there, I can factor out a 2. And I'm left with 2x minus 3. And I can do the same thing with the second factor here. Well, 2 times 2 here, that's 4. So I have taken my berry out of each factor. Then I can set my factors equal to 0. And since these are the same thing, you can just solve one of them. So we would get 2x is equal to 3, which means that x is equal to 3 over 2. Okay, so my solution set is just one answer. It's the 3 over 2. Now, whenever you're doing this delta math assignment, sometimes you will have one answer and sometimes you will have two. So for example, in this problem here, I need to get it equal to 0, so I would subtract 5 from both sides, which would give me x squared plus 7x equals 0. Then you factor. Then you set each factor equal to 0. So your two solutions here are -7 and 0. So this plus sign on your delta math, that will give you a second solution set. So it will look like this. Always let me know if you need help.